Hey everybody, Mo here, and I'm bringing you the first episode of a brand new series called Thinking Like a Pro. And in this video, I thought I'd explain to you guys one of the most fundamental things in Legends of Runeterra and really any strategy game, and that's resource management. So that's going to be what this first episode's about. Resource management is using your resources in ways to gain the maximum value while also not wasting any of those resources. So you want to try and spend all of them, but you don't want to waste any of them. And in Legends of Runeterra, the main resources you have, I believe the only two at the moment, are mana and health. So mana is your main resource in Legends of Runeterra. However, I'm going to talk about health first, just to kind of get it out of the way since it's going to be the shorter topic. Most people don't know that health is actually a resource, when in reality it is, because you spend your health to gain an advantage over your opponents. And that's what a resource is. You're spending this to gain an advantage. The most common way of spending health as a resource for me in my card game experiences is whenever I have a board wipe or a mass removal spell. What usually ends up happening is I let my opponent's creature live and attack me for a few extra turns, even though I have mana to cast my spell. By doing this, it allows the option to open up for my opponent to actually play more creatures and allowing my spell to gain even more value. So instead of playing the card on curve, let's call it a 4 mana board wipe. So instead of spending 4 mana to deal with 3 mana's worth of creatures, I can instead wait 2 turns, take a little bit more damage, spend my health as a resource, and turn that into 4 mana, deal with 8 mana's worth of creatures, and now I've doubled the value I gained out of that just by spending health as a resource. So let's give a real example from a real scenario that happened in a real game that I played. So here you can see I let my opponent's Draven attack me, so I'm paying 7 life instead of blocking with my warding totem. By doing this, I'm essentially spending 7 health to gain 1 mana next turn. So I'm gaining a mana advantage over my opponent by being able to cast more mana and use more mana before they will. And I know that in this particular matchup, the way it's looking, the only way I can win is if I get enough mana to cast my very expensive cards, or to cast 2 very expensive cards. So I can go ahead and pay 7 life now and win later, instead of blocking now, not gaining the mana I need to next turn, falling even further behind, and then dying before I can cast any of the cards that I need to cast to win. So that's a really good example of when I paid health as a resource there to gain an advantage over my opponent. That's about it for health, so let's talk about your main resource in Legends of Runeterra, which is mana. In Legends of Runeterra, you gain 1 mana crystal every turn that you can use to play minions or to cast spells. Additionally, a unique feature in Legends of Runeterra is spell mana, which is unspent mana at the end of each of your turns. This mana can only be spent to cast spells, but this feature makes resource management even more important in some decks that play a decent number of spells. So you want to make sure you can not only spend all of your mana, but you have to also manage and be able to save enough mana to be able to cast spells efficiently. So you gain the most value each turn by using as much mana as possible every turn, by either using the mana to cast creatures and or spells, or by saving 3 spell mana every turn. This is traditionally achieved by playing a 1 mana card on turn 1, a 2 mana card on turn 2, a 3 mana card on turn 3, and etc. However, in Legends of Runeterra, it may be a little bit different since now you have spell mana reserve, but the main idea is the same. You want to both spend mana efficiently while also saving mana. So maybe you play a 1 mana card on turn 1, and then you can maybe play a 1 mana card on turn 2 and then save a spell mana. Or you don't play any cards turn 1 and 2, instantly get 3 spell mana, and then you just try and retain the 3 spell mana every turn. It's going to differ depending on the type of deck you're playing, but the main idea stays the same of spending as much mana every turn as you possibly can. So let's give an example of how to efficiently spend your mana from a real in-game experience. So in this clip, you can see that I have 5 mana, it's my turn 5, and in my hand I have a 2 mana costing card, a 3 mana costing card, a 5 mana costing card, another 2 mana costing card, and a 1 mana costing card. So I have plenty of options of cards to cast here. since I'm at 5 mana, the most efficient way to spend my mana is to be able to spend all 5 mana. So that leaves you with the options of playing a 2 cost and a 3 cost, your 5 cost, your 1 cost, and 2 cost. Those are the most efficient ways to spend your mana. Yes, you can play the 3 cost and the 1 cost card. However, if you do it that way, you're only spending 4 mana. So you're wasting a mana for that turn. However, this is where it gets kind of tricky because you can save that mana for a spell. This is where it depends on what type of deck you're playing. So because I know this deck does not play very many spells, I do not need to save spell mana. As you can see in my hand, 4 out of the 5 cards in the hand are minions. So I'm okay with going ahead and spending all of the mana I possibly can on minions this turn. And then next turn, that leaves me up to 6 mana. So I can go ahead and play the rest of my cards. Because my opponent plays a 1 health creature, I opt to go ahead and play my 1 costing card since it deals 1 damage. Now I'm at 4 mana. So now the only options I have left are to play one of the 2 costing cards, the 3 costing card, or both 2 costing cards. Now, the most efficient way to play this hand out would be to play both of the 2 costing cards, go to my turn, and then go ahead and play the Vladimir, which is what I opt to go ahead and do here. And that gives me the most value, and I've spent now efficiently the most mana in that turn. And I did not waste a single resource. That's going to be it for this Think Like a Pro episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please give me feedback on any questions you have about the game or ideas for my next Think Like a Pro topic. If you enjoyed the video or you feel like you learned anything, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate all of the support you guys give me. It really means a lot to me. And I hope I see you guys in the next video.